Who is down the Cape?
I mean, vacationers who
No,
live down the Cape.
the brewery that just opened up at the old Horizons place.
Treehouse?
That's Treehouse. I always get
yeah.
confused if it's Trillium or Treehouse.
Oh.
No, Treehouse. So welcome back to the Bar Talk Podcast. I am Andy of Inebriart, one of your hosts, joined today by Karl Heine of Tulsa's Tap and Tavern and New World Tavern, where we always come to drink this beer.
Hello, everybody.
And Kieth Piesco, bar manager at Trillium.
All right. Hello.
One of the bigger local breweries, I'd say.
I would say.
Bigger local craft
also say.
breweries.
Yeah, I'll say.
You know,
if not size-wise, reputation-wise.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
And an empty chair where Dan Mahoney should be sitting.
Go, Stan.
Yeah. And if he knocked, we won't even see him. It's the interesting part.
Yeah.
So let's talk. We were talking about Trillium.
Yep.
And bar expansions and, craft breweries expanding. I'm going to roll this back to what I wanted to talk about, Karl. So
Go ahead.
I feel like Kieth can, address this topic. But, we were out in Vegas, and my brain cells have mostly recovered. And I remembered that I was moderating a panel, which I love to bring up because Karl gets all huffy. So I sat in the panel ahead of us.
Yep.
To kind of get an idea of what the moderator was doing, because I don't want to make an ass of myself. And it was all about mitigating loss, and which I think a lot of people think of the waste that we're throwing away, or beer spillover, but they were looking at it in a completely different way about how to protect your assets and your business kind of from being sued. And one of the things they brought up that I guess was a big deal, I want to say in Chicago, but a lot of restaurants were being sued because they weren't ADA compliant, because they would have their menu online, and if you were blind, you couldn't read that menu. And
But if you were blind, why would you be online?
it doesn't matter. So some attorney, I mean, they can still do, there's audio assisted things that allow them to do it. And so there was some attorney that got a hair across his ass, saw a good payday, I don't know what, and just almost went from major bar to major bar and started suing them for not being ADA compliant because they didn't have an audio version of their menu on the website.
I don't think any bar or restaurant in the world is completely compliant with everything that somebody needs compliance with.
I don't think any business can be.
Well, that's why you have all the accessibility features on these phones and computers, where it's okay, if I can't see what's on the screen, you have Siri or Google or whatever, Alexa, whoever the hell it is, read what's on the page.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My thought is maybe I just saw Dan walking up. I don't know if it's the idea of if you're embedding an image of your menu on your website, is it going to be able to read that? Because it's not text.
Right.
It's a PNG uploaded to there.
Yeah.
So that is very interesting to think about, because I didn't even actually consider that until we're starting to talk about it.
Because you don't think, Keith.
I don't.
Hey, it's Dan Mahoney. How's the dog?
Yeah, nobody cares. Go ahead.
I care.
Well,
I care more about the dog than I do Dan.
That's a given.
Yeah.
That's easy. But no, if it's a website that has an image of the menu, will it be able to use those accessibility features? And in that case, do they have a case? Versus it being listed through Untapped that a lot of us use, and you have that online where it reads everything because it's not an image, it's actual text code in the website to be able to be read.
Yo, this topic's boring. Tell us something else.
Peace out.
We're talking about how not to be sued by people.
You just change one letter, and whatever you're writing that's copywritten, fucking gold. There you go. Saved you all listening to Keith. Fast forward.
That wasn't what we were used.
Here's another thing. Can you be sued for stealing menu ideas from other restaurants?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know, actually.
Unless you call it the New World Burger at Kieth Piesco's house pizza. And maybe
All right, well,
Well,
now I have a new venture idea. So,
But you would
Give us
have
a pizza.
to copyright it, I suppose, in some way. Like,
Right.
can you copyright a recipe? I mean, I suppose you can, right? There's cookbooks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they give you cookbooks so you can make it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a here's how to. So you can't sue me for
So
making
you-
something you
you
gave me.
me
Yeah, but when you buy the
Making it's
copy,
different than selling it.
yeah. So you're like, if I make it at home, I'm not making a profit on it. So copyright's never about are you using the copyright? It's are you using the copyright to make profit? Because if I'm just sitting in my house making Mickey Mouse cartoons that I'm showing to myself and not showing anyone else, no one cares.
But
You
if
start selling those
change it to Sticky Mouse and show it to other people, you're okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true.
I had the fire department come in and tell me I had to replace one of the outside doors going into the alley because it opened up the wrong way.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
said, this building's been here for 200 years. This building's been here for. Doors always opened that way. All
Well,
of a sudden-
200 years ago,
all-
they didn't have doors. That was
Didn't
was
have
only,
alleys.
That was only invented in the past 30 years. Were doors. So
But
mean
yeah,
the
so I
band,
had
right?
I had to spend all that
Yeah.
money. It was like $5,000
Yeah.
to put a whole new door in, switch it up, just so it opened the other way.
showing.
But I don't know what good that
Steve.
was, but it was a good story to tell.
No, but I
What
mean,
if
that's.
you just made it a trap door?
So I guess my question was, if it's not compliant, whether it's ADA or building code or whatever it may be, if they change the codes, shouldn't you be grandfathered? So if I'm in a building that's 200 years old and then they say, well, you can't have any stairs. Well, my place is 3 stories. I got to have stairs. But now you got to put an elevator.
Oh, I thought you were going to
So-
slide.
Well,
Slide. You can't
I think
slide
it's a
up.
matter of like.
You can if you try hard enough.
Well, I think it's a matter of like you might be grandfathered in, but if you do some sort of improvement, then you then have to make an adjustment. And like the door, I can go the total extreme opposite. Is part of the reason why the Station nightclub fire was as bad as it was. So yeah, you may be.
But wasn't it?
Who is that?
Jeff Hilliard.
Is Jeff Hilliard? He's like
Oh,
And that's
backlit.
Jeff Hilliard's nipple.
What's up, Jeff Hilliard?
Guest appearance.
Can I get an ice water over here, Kyle? That was a little much.
He was backlit. I couldn't see who the hell it was.
I don't think that Station nightclub happened because doors opened the wrong way.
No, it
I think
didn't
it's because
no,
they were
no.
dumb how they
No, it didn't.
secured their doors.
It didn't happen because of it. But one of the things that they say caused so many deaths was so many people try to rush out through doors that opened in.
Got it.
So,
Just by not thinking, just straight trying to go through and.
right. I mean,
And then all of a sudden, you have
Panic
200
people,
people
yeah.
behind you, panicking, trying to open
trying to
these
be like,
doors.
hey, back up, everybody, towards the fire. You know,
Yeah.
like,
How long ago was that fire?
oh, God, it was
I'm
quite a
gauging
while.
how. If it's too early for me to make offensive jokes about it.
Like 20. Yeah, I wouldn't make offensive jokes about it. I definitely wouldn't do that.
I'll save that for Keith's
Yeah,
podcast.
there are people that still have been directly affected. But I mean, it's one of those where Karl might not have liked putting in that door, but it could have saved him a lawsuit somewhere down the line.
True.
Yeah.
But I get his point where you get fire inspected every year,
Yeah.
and this building's been here for 200 years.
Yeah.
So
why
why
didn't it pass last year?
in
Why did it
year
pass
199
vice versa?
did it change to, yo, this door opens the wrong way?
And it's always weird things like that, like
Because he didn't grease the right palms.
Andrew that owns Artisan Pig. You know, he put the emergency egress in the location they told him to, and then when they came back for the fire inspection, they're like, you can't have the egress here because the alleyway it opens into is like 6 inches too narrow.
Well, that's called too many stupid chiefs in the tribe.
That's government bureaucracy, right?
Yes, yeah. Fucking 1 point, I don't know. I'm gonna get Andy in trouble for saying more stuff.
Listen, I'm gonna
I don't
get-
work in this town anymore.
I'm gonna get Karl in trouble right now for asking him why I'm not on his wall of musicians.
Because it's not a wall of fucking horror pictures, bro.
Jeff Hilliard is on this wall 14 times.
Yeah.
Matt Audette is on this 86 times. Kieth Piesco is on here 0 times.
No, you're behind the TV. You were the first picture they put up, but they just knew they were
The
going to put a
hell,
TV there.
You're gonna dog me like this? You got pictures of Jeff 87 times. I'm up here 0.
That's the real musicians.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. You painted my mural on the back,
That's
right?
right.
Dude, you can't just start playing and then get your picture.
No.
Right?
But here's the thing.
How long did you play
Here's the
here,
thing.
Jeff, until you got on the wall?
No.
25 years.
Yeah.
It's fine. Carl finally painted a wall.
Well, here's the
25
thing.
years.
This is since 2011, so I don't know if that's 25 years. That math does not track. All
Well,
I
they
know,
weren't supporting us before that. They were just started supporting
they were giving us a place to bust.
But we were playing before. 2011 is when they're like, we're going to start supporting, I guess.
We'll start paying you.
We're gonna tell people we were supporting.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Bye, Jeff.
Enjoy your-
See you,
Bye,
Jeff.
Jeff.
That's impossible without Jeff Hilliard in the mix. So
I think you guys will take it.
All right, so where'd we leave?
Podcast officially derailed.
Jeff Hilliard, everybody.
we left off with me
Local
being mad
musician.
that I was not on your stupid wall.
Yeah, I don't care.
And then we
All right,
talked about your
next
door.
topic.
So
And you told me
Yeah.
I can't make fire jokes.
I told you can't make jokes about the station nightclub fire. I feel like that's too soon.
You know,
I would agree.
if I can't make one joke, I'm not going to make any.
But you know, let's talk about the station nightclub fire
Okay.
because I have a little bit of a nightclub in the back, as you guys know.
Sure.
And when the fire department comes in, they spend a lot of time in that back room
I can see that.
making sure we're compliant.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I'm like, you say it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
even if I don't know about it now, if they say you got to change this or that has to be, that's not fire retardant, although everything is.
Right.
I'm quick to do that because the last thing you want is something like that happening at your place.
There's emergency exits in that room.
Yeah.
I was going to say I've never thankfully had to use them, but I've been in that room many times.
I've just used them in non-emergencies.
I actually only go through them.
Yeah.
That's because you're pushing the wrong side of the door because they got the door changed.
Brought me out into the dead end of the alley.
But no, stuff like that I can understand.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
if
of course.
it's something safety, but if it's hey, listen, I got 2 stairs up to the stage, and somebody in a wheelchair can't get on the stage. I can't lower the stage. I can't get an elevator for the stage. There are some things that you just probably can't do.
Yeah.
I mean, we could get somebody up there in a wheelchair, but we just don't have the lift to get them up there.
So here's a question that's really only relevant to this town of Plymouth and other old places. This is a historical town.
Correct?
You have to deal with the historical society.
That is
right?
correct.
How the fuck fun is that?
Roll Street
Well-
painting their building blue.
Well, that's Remember, you have to paint. It's only certain colors. You
Yeah,
can
there's
use.
only certain. Yeah,
Did
I
Roll Street
don't
do that?
know.
Did Captain's Den do that?
Oh, it was Captain's Den.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
I
right.
don't know all the rules they have, but
I don't think they.
I
do
know that
Carl.
if you break them, they come looking at you. And
Yeah.
they will say it. But I will say I don't understand the historical significance. I'm not into that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Of why you can and can't do things. But the
And that's called laws.
I don't
Yeah.
get that.
Me neither.
But
Anarchy.
the committee has
Another
always
one of
been
the
very
laws,
good to
myself.
us. They're not
Yeah.
a bunch of wing nuts that coming over here with pitchforks saying you can't do this.
Yeah.
They come in, they explain why, and then you just got to change it.
So how was it when you?
But they don't go out looking for things. But if they see something, they'll mention it.
Sure.
seeing's believing, Carl.
Correct.
I know someone was having trouble when they were doing some renovations to their building on Leiden Street because they put in the energy saving, cost effective window, and then Historic was like, that is not a historically accurate window.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I don't know if it's just the facade that has to be
It's literally-
historically accurate or
Without knowledge, all to me, just looking straight down Court Street and knowing what these buildings look like, the laws are based entirely around aesthetic.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah.
well, that's what's going to
it's
happen.
like
You change
this
your
doesn't-
windows.
right.
Like,
This
did you
doesn't
have
look
trouble
like
doing
it
that?
would have in 16.
no, but we had to go in front of them.
No,
but they
no
didn't
shit.
care.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say they didn't care, but they approved everything.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
I still don't understand how, because you're right, it was Captain's Den, not Roll Street. When they painted that building blue, there was an uproar about that. And I still don't understand how they never made them change
the
it.
only reason why there was an uproar is because people have nothing better to do but type on Facebook.
Yeah, well,
It's that, and it's kind of, I'm not saying the historic committee, but there are committies that will get very angry and give you a hard time because you didn't ask their
That's
permission.
correct.
What I say,
Right.
Keith,
Yeah.
grease in the right palm.
and we've come full circle meets the swear.
Yeah,
I don't really
yeah.
understand what that was about, Karl.
He started the first thing he said in the room when he got in was greets and palms.
He didn't even know what we're
The
talking
first
about.
thing I said was, Keith is stupid.
No, I believe it was Keith doesn't know how to think.
Yeah, stupid.
Yeah, but different.
So, Karl, I know you've talked about in the past. I gotta break up this little marriage
Yes,
fight here.
please.
That
No wonder we don't have any listeners.
that COVID taught you how to be a better business owner from the numbers side.
Yes, because when COVID hit, as everybody knows, you're either closed and then you opened very slowly. And it does teach you how to better manage your business from all aspects, because you really did have to, scratch and claw and, get people in here, and then you had to manage all the rules that were going on, and the people that didn't understand the rules or didn't care about the rules, you still had to make sure that they followed the rules, because then you get these other people that come in that are following the rules saying, well, why do I have to follow it if that guy doesn't have to follow it?
Right.
But even numbers-wise, you watch everything.
But was there something that you remember being like, oh, why were we wasting money on that, or why were we doing that?
Not why. It's more of I didn't understand how much it impacted.
Yeah.
So when business is good and you get the volume that you need,
The car out there is reflecting sunlight right in my eyes.
the,
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
are you listening to me? Or you,
I'm listening.
so when volume's good, right?
Yeah.
It cures all ills.
Yeah.
If you got a bunch of money flowing in and you have a high rate of bad product in your fridge, you don't care because you're getting all that money. It's not as big as a concern to you. Whether you have waste on the beer, or someone's pouring it down the sink, or somebody's pouring the foam, and maybe your fridge is too warm, or whatever the case is, and you're losing volume. When things are really tight, you really look at that stuff. And that's what happened to COVID, where everything was so tight, you looked at everything. And then as you slowly got that volume back, you're still in control of all the stuff, because now you're so used to monitoring that, that I think that anybody that lasted through COVID is probably a better owner or manager than they were before COVID. Because I think a lot of that stuff just came to light.
Well, when was the last time you were forced to stop, take a moment and think throughout your whole business?
Right? I mean, it's just one week, one day at a
You
time,
hope
1
you
week
hit
at
the
a
ground
time.
running, and then you die.
Right, you're just hoping that everybody's going to show up, and that's a good week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and you didn't have anybody. And
Yeah. You really just take a step back and
you have
look
to
at
take a
everything.
step back, yep, and you analyze everything. I don't do it as well as I should at New World Tavern, analyzing the numbers from I want to say, professional standpoint. I mean, we have our bookkeepers, we have our tax guys, but I don't sit there and study the books. I study what happens day to day, week to week, month to month. At Tolson's, my business partner there is a numbers guy, and he's got spreadsheets, probably 50 different ones that he updates every week to say, this is what we did for lunch, dinner, this is the product that we sold, this is the hourly that we sold it, and this is the amount of people that we had working for that. So it's overwhelming, and you can't look at it every day.
Yeah.
But when you need to look up some information, it is helpful.
Yep.
So I think that the more information you have, the better. Even if you don't pay attention to it as much as you should, you can always go back and pay attention to it. But if you don't have that, if you don't know what your waste is, then you can't manage it. If you don't know what your loss is for a yield for a keg, and you won't be able to manage it.
Yep.
So you're wondering why we only sold 40 glasses of Trillium out of that full keg. If you don't know that you only sold 40 glasses of it, you just take that as a
Oh, yeah.
big loss leader in your draft beer, but you don't know why you're not making that money up. And that's an expensive keg
Oh, yeah.
to lose some glasses on.
That is
So,
literally
yep.
part of my everyday is we even so much as created buttons to track inventory for samples. So like if you come
Yep.
in, you're like, oh, I've never had this. Can I try this? We offer the full size of what that beer is, like a daily serving, hence right in front of us, is a 10-ounce pour. It's a very cost-effective or very costly, expensive beer to make with all the fruit that we use. So there's the 10-ounce. Then we offer 5-ounce pours of everything except for something that already is only a 5-ounce pour. but we even have added buttons for samples of 2-ounce samples just to track the inventory.
And do you charge or just track?
No, it's free. The 2 ounces are free.
Okay, so
But
you're
it's
getting
for
free
us to
samples,
track
but you're tracking the
inventory.
samples
So we
going
know where almost every drop
Right.
of that beer has gone.
Because you can't manage something that you don't know the numbers of.
Exactly.
So now if you realize, geez, I'm losing 20 pints a keg, that's big volume. I mean, that's what, 5% of your volume, right?
Oh, yeah.
4% of your volume.
Yep.
You're going to lose some kind of volume, whether you get your lines cleaned or,
Spillage.
It's spillage, but spillage isn't as big as you think it is. And that's a great thing we should get into later is what exactly spillage is.
Okay.
Because nobody knows what it is.
Yep.
After this commercial break.
But if
So
you
my
can't,
glasses
if you don't know where your loss is, you can't manage it. And your loss can come from a lot of places. It could be theft. It could be, there's a lot of loss here because, me and my wife will come here and I don't track it.
Yeah.
I'll go behind the bar and pour a couple of beers and hand them out.
Those
or-
keg stands in the cavern.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you,
funnels.
so we run a comedy show, and we do one here, and we do one at several other breweries, and we had a brewery recently kind of begin to question, like, I don't know if it's worth us doing it, because we bring in X number of dollars per, night on average, and then they're like, and, we comp the comics beers, and we don't know if that's like and we don't ask them to, they just do. So I'm like, you don't have to do that, but that's part of that. They're obviously tracking that to be like, is it worth having this event if we're giving away, if we're selling, I don't know, 100 beers and we're giving away 25, that really doesn't make any sense.
Right. As we all learned on the Blues Brothers.
Right. But that's
You
like
owe us $125.
if I have someone say like from other half or someone that we have a good relationship with or someone that just came in and was like, hey, I'm from this industry, I've never been here, I drove all the way from wherever the hell, and I'm like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to comp you around.
Right.
We will pour it and they will comp it, but I will absolutely go in my system and comp out that beer so the inventory is tracked. So
Correct.
like,
Yep.
I'm not just
And which is
pouring
the
and
right
giving.
way to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's every drop. If we have a spill and one of my servers is like, hey, I had to put in another drink, can you just comp this out? Absolutely. So when we do inventory, which I actually just did last night, and make sure that every drop, aside from like you might miss a few or if there's an issue with one, whatever, that is all accounted for in every single step. I'm sorry, I'm tapping the
That's all right.
rule number one.
Carl was doing it earlier too.
But like you just track every single drop because for me as a bar manager, that is my biggest product to yield and measure is the beer and now the spirits and the cocktail stuff too. So like if I'm not tracking it, I'm not doing my job right.
And as an
That's
owner-
hugely important.
I'm going to look at the numbers and come to you and say,
Exactly.
why
Yep.
are we only getting 100 pours when we should get 120?
Yep.
And if the bar manager says, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Yep.
Then I got a problem with the bar manager because the bar manager doesn't know what's going on. And I don't mind giving them the numbers. They can do inventory, give it to me, we'll plug it in, we'll figure it out. I'm not asking anybody to be a spreadsheet, expert.
Yeah.
And I'm okay if they're not, but you have to know your numbers. I mean, you have to know. It's another thing with budgets. You have to follow your budgets. If your budget is just a number, okay? If you're over budget, just know why you're over budget.
Right.
If you're under budget, that's great. Nobody's going to say, why were you under budget? They're just going
Right.
to say, that's what you should be.
Yeah.
But is it?
And
to
you
a
can
certain
go over,
extent.
you can go over budget and under budget. But if you don't know your numbers as a manager, you're never going to have an answer for your boss or the owner, whoever it may be, saying, you were supposed to order $10,000 worth of inventory, you ordered $12,000. You're over 20%. Why? And there could be a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, listen, we had 3 wedding events coming up, so I wanted to get it in for that. Great. Okay, next. But if
under
you're
bu-
like, geez, I don't know. Well, we just,
You have to have an answer for every
Yeah.
single
And-
question, even if it's not getting asked.
Even if your answer's wrong.
not
You
wrong.
can be wrong.
Not wrong. But if you just say,
Try very hard to not.
I'm not sure, let me get back to you on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, yeah.
If they say, I'm not sure, let me go back and look.
I'm a big proponent. Jesus, wow.
Opponent?
Big proponent. I'm an opponent of everyone. I'm a proponent of like not giving a bullshit answer. Like own that you don't know it.
Right.
And then find out when you're asked and find and get that answer.
Because you know what?
Like-
The next meeting, you're always going to have that answer.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go back to where you said under budget's fine. It can be, but if your sales are down and you're under budget, and you're like, "Why are we under budget?" You'd be like, "Oh, I didn't order as much beer." Well, is that why your sales are down?
Well, no, because your budget is due to what you're selling. So that's where your budget is going to come up and down. If you don't sell a lot, your budget is going to be less. If you sell a ton,
Oh, I
your
see what
budget is
you're
going to be
saying.
more.
Yeah.
So it's not a static number. It's a
Correct.
percentage. Okay.
Correct. It's a percentage of what you actually sold.
Yeah.
Okay.
And people do it different ways.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you do it week to week, day to day, month to month. Your number is this. Where are you falling? And it could fluctuate. I'm over this. I'm short this. I don't know. So as long as you know what you're doing and can communicate to your bosses that I'm doing this because, or this happened because, they might say, okay, let's not do that again. And you say, okay, I won't. Or, okay, that's great, next.
Yeah.
Right.
As long as there's a reason.
Yep.
Punish that last sip. We'll do the daily sermon. Crush that. Oh, you need a glass.
Yes, I'll get a glass.
All right, what do we got?
This is our daily serving. This is our Fruited Berliner series.
Why are you yelling?
I don't know, because I'm letting Dan hear. He's all the way
Oh,
over
okay.
there.
All right.
This is a shit pour, but whatever. Karl's gets shit beer anyway, so it's fine.
All right, it's a Berliner Weiss, which means?
Yes, Fruited Berliner Weiss, very tart style, very traditional style, Belgian style. But we have added calamansi, oranges, tangerines, and mandarins to this. So it's literally like a thick bodied orange juice. And it is one of my favorite ones of this whole series. Daniel, here you are.
Do we know what a calamansi is?
Oh, yeah. Calamansi is, from what I understand, it's kind of like a tangerine and a lime hybrid.
Okay.
Or, I'm sorry, tangerine and cantaloupe hybrid.
It's like
it
a
is-
tangerine, but different.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a good breakfast beer.
I love this. This is,
It does taste like juice.
it literally is
Yeah.
thick OJ. Yeah, it's incredible. Oh, no, no, that's fine. That's fine. Take the rest.
I think
Kyle,
he
take
likes
the rest.
it.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah, I love this one. We do a bunch of these total crazy overhaul of different fruits. Like we just did raspberry, strawberry, blueberry, cranberry in one. We've done one that's just sour cherry. We do one that's passion fruit, orange peel, and guava. We do a bunch of dark berries, pomegranate, blackberry. Oh, but this is just a bunch of different orange family fruits. And oh my God, it is one of my favorite things. we
So
have right now.
you are the bar manager
Yes.
in the Canton location. How big is the location?
It's
It's
fucking
80 it's
massive.
It's 80,000 square feet, front of house, like guest.
And what's the
facing area.
capacity?
750.
750 people.
Correct.
So when you're packed,
Yep.
you got almost 800 people in there.
Does that include outside?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
So like the field that we have, the patio, the inside, all that is all included because I think if I'm remembering correctly, something with fire codes. It's like since we don't have a bathroom outside,
We don't follow fire codes.
inside-
We already talked
Grease the palms, Keith. Grease the
Yeah,
palms.
that's right. I'll call Canton Town officials. No, because there's no bathrooms outside; it's all inside. I think that's what actually helps with capacity. Like we have some plans for stuff in the future that I think bathrooms involved, increase capacity, something like that. But yeah, so it's 750, and on any Saturday in the summer and even the fall, especially, like we'll be at capacity from like 1:30 through like 5 o'clock at night. So there'll be a line of 200 people waiting for one in, one out because we are fully at there with that capacity. It's something else.
When you're at capacity, what are the drawbacks in having that many people? Tell us stories.
Yeah, so there's actually really not a whole lot because we normally ramp up staffing for the summer.
We'll
we
get
have
the real stories after this podcast.
Oh, is that what we
yeah, yeah.
All right, listen. We'll get right down to the question.
yeah.
Kids, dogs, no kids, no
No
dogs.
dogs because we are a restaurant license now, so
Okay.
you can only have service animals. That's actually, if anything, that's been the biggest hurdle for people that are longtime fans or that are coming to visit because we used to be at every location dog friendly except for Fort Point, that was a restaurant as well. But because Canton switched from a brewery license to a restaurant license, can't have animals except for service animals. So we have people all the time, especially on a beautiful Saturday or even as nice a day as this, that'll come up, just walk their dogs down the patio, and I'm like, I know it's outside, it stinks, I wish we could, But even outside, because it's all part of the same license, we can't have it. Because if there's prepared food out there with allergies and all that stuff, just can't do it. So service animals are the only thing.
What about kids?
It's allowed. Kids, yeah, we have kids.
So you're not 21 plus at all?
No, it is a completely family-driven experience. So we have
A family-driven experience at a brewery.
well,
But it's a restaurant.
Restaurant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. Like if you notice in 2018, we dropped brewing company from like the major branding, so we are now just Trillium, which is I like to think of it as kind of like the way of the Dunkin', which is like we do donuts, beer, but we do a lot more than that now. So it's not just Dunkin' Donuts. We're now Dunkin'. We're Trillium. It's a really nice, inclusive thing for everyone. We have families. We had a bar mitzvah event last.
Son of a bitch! You kidding me?
Yeah, we had I think it was like a 90 kid event in our upper mezzanine with a bunch of sodas, bunch of pizzas, food. The parents were hanging out. Like it was a whole thing for everyone. They had a great time. It was awesome.
To me, that's the difference in what you guys are doing. Is if you go there, it feels like a restaurant that brews its own beer. There's menu options for drinks for kids too. I've been to breweries that have there's kids all over the place, and parents bring juice boxes because there's nothing for the kids to drink.
There's water.
Tap water.
Can you serve a kid a non-alcoholic beer?
No.
Because there's still
There's
trace
still alcohol
amounts.
in it.
I said non-alcoholic.
Right, but there's still alcohol in it.
How do you know?
Non-alcoholics like point
It says on the bottom.
4, 0.04.
Yeah, that's O'Doul's.
All of them, though.
All of them.
Really?
Yeah. That's how they're made.
Athletic, O'Doul's, everyone that's making their own NA these days, yeah, they're all still trace amounts of alcohol. But it's like, it's basically the
So
equivalent
does
of
malt wine. I was going to say.
it's basically the equivalent of something that's like, oh, I'm not celiac, I just don't like gluten. It's like, okay, well, some of these seltzers out there have trace amounts of gluten in them. But if you're not celiac, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast. talking about these.
I think we've done those.
Jesus.
That could be the second time you get censored. I don't know how that's gonna roll.
But yeah, that's the place is ridiculously awesome. I mean, but to your question as far as fallbacks, because it's summer, we know that we're getting that volume. We have 2 draft trailers open, so we have 2 trailers in the patio that pour beer. We have the main bar inside. We have a tap room. There's like 4 different places that you can get a beer. So yeah, there'll be lines. There's 750 people waiting to get drinks, but it's not like one line of 500 people. It is pretty dispersed. We try to keep things similar. Maybe a few exclusives on each trailer. Maybe like a different daily serving on this one than on that one.
I went to a brewery, and it was one of their anniversary years. Big number, I guess.
Yeah.
And the place was packed. I mean, there was more people at that brewery than I ever thought. I mean, and great for them.
Yeah.
But it was more of an attraction than I ever thought. And they had maybe 4 or 5 bars. By the time you got a beer, you had to get in line again to get a beer.
Yeah.
Just because there were so many people there.
Right.
Yep.
I mean,
And you couldn't move, and people were touching me, and it's weird.
yeah. No, I mean that's
It's weird because they couldn't move away from you when they were touching you. You get it?
Let me ask you, Keith.
Yeah.
Do you ever get like blowback from customers? So in the summer, it's 1 in, 1 out. You have, say, 3, 4 adults waiting in line for an hour, or however long it takes them to get in, and they're allowed in, and they see like a mother with 3 kids leaving. Do they ever be like, we waited in line for them to drink soda? Like, is there ever that kind of...
No, actually, I don't think we ever have, because a lot of the people waiting in line have their families with them. So, like, we added a few, and I'm going to use the term because I can't think of a better thing. We added security, basically, to kind of help the management team. Like last summer, we didn't have anyone aside from us to kind of work with this. So, like, I would have to go out with the line because the hosts would sometimes get hassled of, like, what do you mean I can't go in?
Yep.
Like, I would just want to go outside. My friends are here. It's like, okay, well, they
The poor
walked
little
in
16-year-old girl is getting hassled by a bunch of
Right.
guys.
So I'd go
Yeah.
out there, but now we have a few guys that are literally dedicated to help us. Like obviously we don't have smoking on the patio because it's a place of area. You can't crack your cans open that you buy from retail. So that's another thing we have is people see some lines, you're like, There's no line at retail. I'm just going to go buy cans to
I'll
go
buy
and
a
try to sneak
4-pack
them
with
outside.
Stim, yeah.
Exactly. So we have guys that help with that, which they're fantastic, because last summer, when it was as crazy as it will get, if I'm trying to do stuff for the bar or even the floor and I see people cracking cans, I have to go step off to go, be like, hey guys, like I can pour this one out. Like you can't have the rest. Like these are to go only. So now we have guys that will help with that, which really alleviates a lot that as a manager we'd have to do when we have to focus on managing the restaurant and the bar. But yeah, I mean, you really don't get a lot of pushback from people that are like, this group of 16 where it's like 2 moms and like all their kids came out, like this is what I waited for. No, I don't think we've ever had that, because now it's, hey, cool, 16
I'm going to do that when
coming.
I'm in line.
Now we go,
After I mention your name to try
I'm
to
going
get
to put your
me
face all in the back and be like, do not let this man in.
You wouldn't be the first one.
I was gonna say they're gonna be like, he's gonna be like, I know Kieth Piesco, and they'll be like,
we've heard that. We've heard that.
back of the line.
No, I don't think we've ever had any kind of issue as far as like people that are waiting being mad at who's leaving. They're just like, the frustration is I can't go outside. I'm like, I know it's part of the same license. It's a 1-in, 1-out entrance, so that's kind of included. So, but it's at the end of the day, once they're in, they're usually pretty happy. Like you could have the biggest ball buster or the biggest person that's just like so mad, and as soon as it's like, all right, 8 went in, you guys are good. They're like, oh, awesome, great, thank you. Where do I go get food? Go see the host, and we'll get you seated right away. It's fine. So
I mean, I made a girl cry this weekend for that reason.
I'm not surprised by this. You make me cry daily, so
Yeah, that's on purpose. You deserved it. She deserved it too. But we had a Bruins game, R.I.P. We had a giant line all night long, and they had a reservation at 6:30. At 9:30, she said, "My boyfriend's outside. We have space at our table. You come in." I'm like, "No, he's gonna wait in line with the 50 other people.
Yeah.
They've been there for an hour." And she's like, "But he's been there. We had a reservation like 3 hours ago."
Right, yeah,
And then
that's
she cried.
yep.
She's like, "But I'm gonna leave." I'm like, "There's this many people
Yeah.
out there
Yeah.
don't care."
That's the only time that you get. There's 2 ways that you can basically skip the line, and it's not so much a skip the line. It's
You
if you're
grease
buying-
the palms.
if you pay me $100, I'll let you right in. No, if you're buying cans to go because you're not staying and taking up space, you're buying cans and leaving. You can go in and do that. We usually have someone escort them in to make sure that they're not like, oh yeah, I'm just buying cans, and then they just end up at the bar. The other thing is when we're doing capacity. So like if we know we're at like 7:20, we look at the next hour of reservations, and I'll account that in. So if you're late to the reservation, your party's number's already accounted in my inventory.
But how long do you hold that space for them?
Well, yeah, I mean, if they're not showing up for 40 minutes, then yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But like if it's like, hey, if it's 1:35, there was a reservation at 1:30. Most of them are in there. We were accounting for 12 of them to be there, and there's only 8.
Yeah.
And that person's like, hey, I'm here with the 1:30 Mahoney reservation. I know where they're at. They've texted me what table. It's like, okay, cool. I'll have someone bring you in, see with the host, make sure that they're seated, and they're all set.
Yes.
Because they're accounted for in the capacity that we already have, because that reservation's accounted for.
But you're
So
not going to
we're-
hold it past 10 minutes.
If most of the group's there, yeah.
See, that's another person's money that comes in and spends it.
I mean, if they're...
I mean,
So you're losing
When you
money.
got 750
okay.
people, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
also it's
So would you
bucks
do
for
that?
the beer.
You don't have 750 people in. What would
No,
you do?
so ask me again.
So would you hold, like he said, so say there's a reservation at 12 people.
Yep.
11 show up.
Yep.
An hour later, that 12th person shows up.
Oh, an hour? No.
So that's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
Oh, you said 10 minutes.
And there's, and there's a line
I don't
outside.
Oh, no, 10 minutes is our cutoff.
I don't think I've ever actually seen someone show up at what I would consider an unreasonable time to join
Yeah.
their reservation.
I
if
like-
you're showing up 40 minutes
Depends
late,
on who you
you're
are,
not
man. I'm
well,
unreasonable 2 minutes late.
I like that. I like that Dan's cutoff is 10 minutes, which means Dan is always going to be waiting in line.
I
Yeah,
don't go places.
but no, it's there's not really an issue. Like I don't think we get too many people aside from a few that are like, well, let's just open cans. But like the lines are usually very quick because if you're seated in the restaurant, you have a server anyway, so you're not really waiting.
Right.
If you're at the beer trailers outside, you kind of get that experience anyway. Like that's a beer garden, you're waiting to get a beer, and we have our staff goes through these lines like that. They're really quick because it's a pour, it's a payment, you're all set. A lot of people will open tabs, so that makes it even quicker, which is great.
Is it only beer at your place?
Well, so outside currently, we're working on ways to get the cocktails, but the main bar has our 3 spirits, our blended whiskey, our aged rum, and our vodka, and we have a few handmade cocktails and a few like craft cocktails that we do as well. So we do. Yeah, we do a Moscow Mule. We do a Dark and Stormy. We have a whiskey sour. We have an apple cider rum, which is absolutely delicious, and we have a new one that we kind of made for kind of race season. So with the marathon, and we have our 5K a week from yesterday on the 7th. It's a rum. It's basically kind of like a rum Cape Codder with some more like syrup and some bitters, house-made bitters, and it's really refreshing. I actually hate how good it is because it gets me every night. So yeah, there's not just beer anymore. Hence the whole concept of like we're now Trillion. We're not Trillion Brewing because we own a farm. We do farm-to-table vegetables and locally sourced food. We do experiences for families. We do spirits. We do all this stuff that's not just under one term of brewing, and it's a more experience-driven place to be, which is really exciting to have gone, because when I joined in 2018, we had Canton, the old Shawmut location, that was just the tap room, and then we had the old Congress Street location, which was the shuffle next to your partner to get in because it was the tiniest the original location. It was a small place. So we opened up the 4 Point restaurant, and that's where I came in. So I didn't know too much of experience before then, other than what I'd visited at Old Canton. So to see what we have moved to, it's been actually pretty fucking cool. Because when I signed on, I would have never guessed that I'd be the bar manager this right now, nor that we would be what we are, which is a pretty awesome thing to be a part of. So, yeah.
What was the question?
I don't remember anymore. I'm sorry. That was a
ADA compliance.
I don't even know what this podcast is
Yeah,
about.
doors opening the wrong way, something like that.
But that is last call. It's the
Last call.
time when we go around the table and people can plug whatever they feel like. And just because I'm curious to see what he's going to be shitting on today, we're going to start with Dan Mahoney.
Well, I would just like to bring attention that on this podcast, there's a lot of negative things said about Kieth Piesco.
They're all true.
I would say that's it. I just want to say there's a lot of bad things said about
yeah.
Kieth.
All right.
Yeah.
End of last call.
Karl, what do you got?
I'm going to bring up the support of local businesses, whether it's a local market, a local brewery, a local restaurant, a local bar, local gas station. Support
Strip
local.
club.
Local strip club.
Yeah, single moms.
Chicka bow wow.
Over to you, Keith.
I'll just plug us again. I feel like kind of that's what I'm sort of here to do. But yeah, I mean,
I thought you were
Come on,
here
that's-
because I texted you drunk the other day and said, Keith, come on our podcast.
that's also part of it. Did you not have a guest today, by the way? Is that why this ended up happening?
I don't know. That's Andy's job. We were just out
Actually,
drinking.
yeah, that's right. You got me really drunk that night.
I wasn't even
Sorry,
involved.
go on with your.
No, I was just
He
gonna
called
say,
you.
we got a
I did.
lot of fun
I
stuff
texted
going
you.
on this summer.
Not just said you
We
were
got music going on all summer long.
You what?
We got all sorts of cool events and classes and stuff happening. So go to the website, see if there's a beer you like, see if you want to come through and take a paint class or a calligraphy class, or we even do
Terrarium nights.
terrarium nights and mug painting. I was going to say inebriart nights.
What's a terrarium?
It's a
turtle.
plant in a jar.
Yeah.
If it's turtles, I was in.
Yeah.
Can we
You put a
paint?
turtle
Glad to
Turtle
be here.
painting
I hate
night?
Dan Mahoney. I just want to put that on the record. That's there forever. And that's the end of my last
Ask
call.
Keith how many times he called me today.
3.
So I'm gonna not use my last call to give anyone a shout out, but more a farewell to San Diego's.
Yeah.
That's why Dan got me drunk the other night, because we
R.I.P.
decided to
in
go
peace,
there
Prince.
to get some tequila shots.
Yep.
I believe yesterday was their last day.
Saturday.
Saturday.
I think,
So
I was drunk.
yeah, it was this weekend.
I was trying to buy the elephant off the wall.
But
Would you really?
it was yeah.
Really?
They were like
10 feet tall.
they were like
I want the sun. I want to get the creepy cross.
it's gone.
Son of a.
Yeah, but
That's you did that.
Downtown fixture, San Diego's is moving on, going away. I don't know. It's going to be, I believe, in Ajo.
Yeah, Neho, yeah. Is
And,
the one down the Cape still going to be there?
Yes.
I think so.
It might have been the longest downtown restaurant bar, right? I can't think of anybody that was there before San Diego's that's still around.
Galway?
Galway was called something else.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that there was much before
When did
that.
the BBC start?
But then our restaurant.
You said restaurant or bar?
Yeah, but it could have been
that-
maybe the BBC.
Yeah.
I bet you it's close.
Shanty Rose? How long has that been there?
No.
That wasn't that long?
No.
Yeah, it might be Sam's.
It's
Sam's might be
Probably those
the,
two. Between those two.
the
yeah.
last of the outlaws.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well,
But so farewell, and if you want to reach out to Bar Talk for any reason, you can email us at bartalkcast@gmail.com. You can find us on all social medias at bartalkcast, and that's pretty much it. See you guys next time.
see ya.
Bye.
Bye.
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/inebriart to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at inebriart.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at inebriart or at inebriart6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebriart, and all the other shows on the Inebriart Network, which you can find at inebriart.com. Thanks again for listening.